Surely you can't use Android without Google services. Well, in this video I'm going to discuss how I was able to do this, and you can too, right now on Linux Lounge.
Welcome to Linux Lounge.
Right, so as I say, with my Android I've pretty much gone Google free at this point. Now, this was partially inspired by Chris Word Digital's video on a very similar topic. And basically, like I say, I've completely gone Google free, and I've basically installed a custom ROM for my device called Lineage OS. And I must say, thus far, it's proving to be actually quite good. I just want to go through basically what I've been doing, how I've been doing it, and that sort of thing. Now, first thing I want to say, for my App Store, I'm using something called F-Droid. And effectively what this is it's a sort of catalogue, if you will, of free and open source programs for Android. You can sort of go through them, search them, whatever. They've got your categories, it's all pretty good. Everything you should want or need is here. I'd just like to show you a few apps that I have downloaded from there. Now, first things first, I'd like to say, on my home screen, it's all very stock and standard. As I said, I've got the phone, the messages, the Firefox, that, so they all work perfectly. But I'd like to say, for my web browser, I've been using Firefox, which is a pretty good browser. However, it's kind of sort of not available from the F-Droid store. You can get a downloader for it, but you cannot get the browser itself, which is quite unusual. And I've also got a program called Open Camera, which is a camera app, and it's far more advanced than anything you're getting on any smartphone, custom ROM, whatever. And to be quite honest with you, quite frankly, as someone who likes to take photos on the smartphone, I prefer this to any proprietary offerings, because yes, indeed, F-Droid is mainly, if not only, open source software. Now, just about going through some of this stuff, I've got a few themes, odds and ends here, which I've tried several launchers, and the one that I've decided is my favourite is the one that comes with Lineage OS, which does not support theming for some strange reason. A few simple open source games there. I've got an Arch Wiki Viewer, which works really well. IRC Client also works really well. AUR Droid, search the Arch user repositories, very useful as someone who uses Arch regularly. Bob Bolden, their open source game. The built-in Lineage OS browser, which works fine, although I prefer the Firefox, calculator, calendar, whatever, all the usual stuff. Open source chess game, Clover, some kind of 4chan client of some description. Not really a regular 4chan user. I just wanted to check out this client because I know it's a thing that a lot of people use, so I want to see what the open source offering looks like. Bit of DuckDuckGo here, which is kind of like the Google app. You can get some news stories from it and the like. Downloaded an open source launch here, which actually, technically speaking, Lineage OS's default launcher is open source, but kind of, one from the F-Droid store. I like it, not nearly as much as the Lineage OS launcher though, unfortunately. Firefox Updater, which is pretty cool, I guess. Feeder, which is an RSS reader, basically your news stories. Actually, let me show you Firefox Updater. Basically, simple app, check available updates. You can download your Firefox, which will basically pull down the APK from the Firefox servers for you to download and install, which is what I've done with my Firefox. Going forward down as well, I've got Firefox Cloud, which is basically a private browsing thing, where you can just dump your data after you've done with it. Haven't really found any use for it, I just thought it was cool to have. Another open source game. Good Weather, which, really good weather app, everything you should want or need. You can add custom locations, obviously. Also, it supports widgets on the home screen, which I will add at some point. IceCat Mobile, which is basically Firefox without the branding and a few additional add-ons added for privacy reasons, which is pretty cool, I guess. You've got all sorts of stuff in it. Honestly, my biggest problem, though, is it seems to be ridiculously slow on the mobile version. Probably all the extensions slowing it down, but if that's your thing, you have at it. It's available in the F-Droid store directly. Material Facebook, which, yes, I use Facebook, mainly just for Messenger. Indeed, this thing works absolutely fine. basically it's a glorified web app, but you do get like a little taskbar at the bottom. Minesweeper Mind has open source games. Now for music, I actually use the default Lineage OS music player, and I must say I actually like it better than most other music apps I've tried to use. It's got an audio visualizer in there, the interface is really nice. It's pretty cool. Nestoid, an open source NES emulator. NewPipe, now this one is cool. It's actually a YouTube player, but it also supports playing in the background and playing in a little pop-out window, which, like I say, pretty cool. I also believe it supports downloading stuff, but I've never tried to do it, and I quite frankly don't know if it really works. Notepad, simple note-taking application. Notifications for Facebook should, in theory, give you notifications on your Facebook stuff, because Material Facebook does not support that. Open Camera, another open source launcher, Open Launcher. Another pretty cool launcher. I've kind of got it set out slightly iPhone-esque with all your apps in one page, but if you want the drawer, open it up, perfect. Noticing that that one actually supports themes, which is pretty cool. Orbot and Orfox, which is basically Tor for Android, which is a pretty good thing to have if you're going on public Wi-Fi or whatever. To get these, I did need to enable a repository that is included by default in the F-Droid, just not enabled by default. Simple stuff, enable the repository and you can get all this cool stuff. OSM and, which is an app maps reader thing, I believe it does support offline use as well. PPSSP, PSP emulator. Privacy browser, which is another pretty good privacy browser, similar to Firefox Clara here. It's pretty nifty because you can disable JavaScript and all that stuff. I find that most modern mobile websites do not require JavaScript, which is cool to see. Red Reader, which is a Reddit client, quite a good one actually. In many ways I prefer it to the official one. Save for offline website saving thing. ScreenCam is a screen recorder, what I'm using right here. I couldn't figure out how to actually stop the recording when I was using it without this little pop-up thing, which is quite annoying. Disable the pop-up thing, or enable this little pop-up, and you're good to go. Simple Brick, another thing. SkyTube, now this one's interesting, it's basically a sort of full YouTube client. It doesn't support downloading or background play as far as I know, nothing fancy, but it's kind of like the original app. Basically it's pretty good. Slim Social for Twitter, there's really nothing fancy about that, it's literally just a web app for Twitter. So effectively it may as well be a shortcut, but it is useful and it is good. I'm not even going to begin to pronounce that. Tashiyomi, I believe. It's quite a good manga reader. You can pull from all sorts of places. It's nifty to have. Tanks of Freedom open source game. Torrent client, I have not tried to use this yet, but it's a torrent client basically. Vector Pinball, another open source game. And down here I've actually got VLC. Now, I couldn't get this through the F-Droid store. So what I have to do is just download it from their official site. So nothing complicated there, but you're not getting it from F-Droid, basically. And finally, YouTube Cacher. And that there is basically how I've gone Google free on my Android device. Kind of, I can fill in everything I need to do with free and open source software, more or less. I would highly recommend anyone giving this a go. It does have its advantages, like for example my device now runs a lot lighter. I've got far more storage now that all this Google stuff isn't, running and being installed on my device. And most importantly, freedom is kind of important. But all in all, I would say this kind of ended up being a pretty good decision to go Google free. I'd like to thank Christopher Digital for the original video that inspired me to do this. And with that being said, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.